Hey everyone, welcome back to 996. The Howl trade deadline just ended. Checking Twitter. Hopefully nothing comes up. I have to redo the whole board. I wish it was later in the day so I could have a beer. Very underwhelming from a Coyotes perspective. Very entertaining if you were fans of many other NHL teams. But let's get into it. We all knew Zucker and Dumba were going to go. Dumba went down to the wire about 20 minutes left before the deadline, and finally he gets traded to Tampa. The surprise for me was Stetcher to be the first one to be traded. I didn't think he had much value, but turns out he had the most value on the team. Just crazy. We'll start with Zucker, who was the first one on trade deadline day to be traded. He had 9 goals, 16 assists, 25 points in 51 games played. He's about a .5 points per game player, a half point per game player. It's been a downward trend for Zucker. Last season with the Pittsburgh Penguins, he had 27 goals, 21 assists, 48 points. Nashville, what you're getting is a third line winger, sort of a good shot, a good one-timer, but doesn't elevate players around him, doesn't drive his line. He's not as consistent. Some nights he'll look like he really wants to play hockey. He'll do anything he can to make an impact, but then other nights you kind of don't really notice him. 4 of his 9 goals were on the power play. It started off where he looked like to be the guy, to be the one-timing guy on PP number 2 for the Coyotes, and then that just stopped. He wasn't really one-timing the puck as consistently on the power play. He drives the net a little bit. Some of his other goals, 5-on-5, he was around the net area, getting a few good passes. He averaged about 14 minutes time on ice. He had no penalty kill time and nearly 2 minutes of power play time per game. If you're a Nashville fan, you think, oh, Zucker will be great in the playoffs. If the Nashville Predators make the playoffs, his point per game production drops off again from a .5 point per game player. He averages about a .32 points per game player in the playoffs. 15 points in 46 games played in the playoffs. Then we go to Matt Dumba, who, like I said, went down to the wire, gets traded. I'll talk about the returns after these blurbs I have for these players. For Dumba, you're looking at a bottom pairing defenseman. He needs to be on your third pairing, if anything, or your 7th defenseman in the press box. Just put it out of your mind. He is not an offensive defenseman anymore. That's gone. But for Dumba himself, I don't think he knows that in his mind. He cheats on offense. He'll join the rush, but then not contribute on the rush and just make it worse, because if the puck goes the other way, then your forward is caught and is given the task to defend an oncoming rush from the other team. He hits. It took him a while, like 30 games with the Coyotes, to finally start laying hits. And I think that's his best attribute now, is he could be a big hitter. He just needs to just focus on the defensive side of the game. He's no longer an offensive defenseman. His power play, he hasn't had any power play time since a shortened 2021 season, and he had almost 3 minutes of penalty kill time per game. So he's transitioning into a defensive defenseman. But like I said, in his mind, I don't think he knows that, and he'll join the rush and just try to be offensive. And especially on a team like Tampa, he should be nowhere near the offensive zone or behind the net or in the crease. Just bizarre choices offensively by Dumba. They just need to sit him down and be like, hey, you got to be a big, tough guy around our net defensively, and lay some big hits and be a gritty defenseman. That's your role. They really need to sit him down and tell him that's what he needs to be for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stetcher, Edmonton fans, 0 offense. Nope, not even 1 goal. 0 offense. He's a small guy, doesn't play the body, but he's good with his stick. He's kind of good defensively. That's probably his only best aspect to his game. And he averages about 2 minutes of penalty kill time per game. So you're getting a 6th, 7th penalty killing defenseman who's not big, isn't going to clear your crease, and I guess is good at retrieving pucks in the corners and just getting the puck out. Maybe just an average to below average puck mover to the forwards. So let's get into the returns. For Zucker, We got a 6th in 2024, and we also gave away a 7th for 2024. All in all, we only gained 1 pick from this trade deadline. Last trade deadline, we got 8 picks, 3 of them in that Chychrun trade. We also didn't broker any trades. Last year, we brokered the Kane trade, and I believe we got a 3rd round pick. The message I'm sensing, and if I read the room and read between the lines, the Coyotes ownership told Bill Armstrong, no retaining. We don't want any money. They didn't retain on Zucker's $5.1 million, whatever it is, or Dumba's $3.9 million. They wanted no salary. I think if they retained on Zucker and Dumba, their returns would have been much higher. But a 6th round for Zucker is terrible. I thought you couldn't get worse than a Gostisbehere trade last trade deadline, where the Coyotes only got a 3rd round pick 3 years from then in 2026, this one. And I thought that was a terrible trade. I still think it's bad, but they managed to one-up it with a 6th round pick for Zucker. And then Dumba gets a 5th round pick in 2027. Again, Dumba's only making $3.9 million. If the Coyotes retained half, they could have at least gone a 3rd round pick. But again, these picks don't move the needle for me. A 5th and a 6th. The best value we got was Stetcher, which we got a 4th round 3 years from now in 2027. In my trade bait board video, I said, watch the Coyotes look at 2027 picks. They're done with 2026, it seems. Last trade deadline in 2023, like I just said, they got picks in 2026. The Gostisbehere trade, maybe the Bukestad trade. I think one of the picks from Chychrun might have been a 2026 as well. We got no roster players, no shiny new toys. Last season, we got Kesselring, who's now a mainstay on the Coyotes defense. Speaking of Kesselring, Gunther and Kesselring were paper transactioned down to the Tucson Roadrunners, which means they'll still play for the Coyotes, but at the end of the season, they're eligible to play for the Roadrunners playoff run. So that's great to see Gunther and Kesselring go down there. I was skeptical about Cooley. If he would join the Roadrunners, maybe he'll end up joining the World Cup USA team that happens during the playoffs, the NHL playoffs. Maybe Cooley joins Team America there. Then just all our picks. I do this pretty much every time we talk about trades in the future. 13 picks in 2024, 11 picks in 2025, 10 picks 2026. And Cap Friendly doesn't even show the year 2027, but right now they're at 9 picks for 2027. So it's all about accumulating picks. It's not to say that the Coyotes are going to choose and use all these picks at the draft. They're going to have to package these up to jump ahead in the draft or acquire players like they did with Dursey, McBain. Nathan Smith didn't really work out well, but expect in the offseason for the Coyotes to start using these 2nd round picks. They got 10 2nd round picks in the next 3 drafts. And like I said, you could jump up. You could do a 4th and a 3rd and get another 2nd round pick. Teams love that, to trade 1 asset for 2 assets. So the Coyotes are in a good position. Obviously, this season's been a train wreck the past 20 games. It's not going as planned. They didn't even meet expectations. They failed expectations for the first time since a shortened 2021 season. So it's been a bit bad. It would have been nice to get a little smile on trade deadline day, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Very underwhelmed with the returns. And from here on out, I guess, even though I hate to say it, you got to lose as much as possible to get better lottery percentage odds. And that's going to be hard because this season I really wanted the Coyotes to create a winning culture, to be in the drive for a wild card spot, battling for it. Didn't expect them to get one, but at least battling for it. But that all stopped at the beginning of February. So it's all been bad. We got arena news updates, should be around March 14th, 15th. So stay tuned on my channel for that. But yeah, really disappointing. I wish the Coyotes retained on both Zucker and Dumba to at least get 3rd round picks for each of them. I know in my mind they were not worth 2nd round picks. And honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in both these guys. They dropped the ball in their careers. They had a perfect opportunity to play with the Arizona Coyotes, to basically save their careers and even earn money next season for their new contracts. Neither of these guys are even going to touch the current value of their contracts this year. They just both played terribly. They were given opportunities. They didn't live up to it. Pretty much no consistent impact on this roster. And the Coyotes team and fans, we won't even miss them. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Let me refresh one more time. It's about 12 minutes past the deadline. And all I see is a hurdle trade to Vegas. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.